Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ritesh Prabhu. Very Bol to all the devotees who chanted. Start with Manglasharan. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvatam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvatamsha नमः विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. Okay, anybody would like to take up the service of reciting our prayers today? We should go with the Damodar Stotram, verses 51 to 60. You can try. Only by trying we get better. Anybody wants to take it?
I can sing it, Bobby.
Yes, Hari Bol. Yes, Amresh Prabhu, go ahead, please.
त्वमेव यच्छे मम देहि जीवे समागते दण्डधारे कृतान्ते वक्तव्यम् इवं मधुरं सुभक्त्या गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति भजस्व मन्त्रं भवबन्धमुक्तै जीवे रसाग्ने सुलभं मनोज्ञम् द्वैपैयन्तारे मुनिभिः प्रजप्तं गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति गोपालवंशीधर रूप सिन्धु लोकेश नारायण दीनबन्धु उच्चस्वरेस्त्वं वाद सर्वदैव गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति जीवे सदैव भज सुन्दराणि नामानि कृष्णस्य मनोहराणि समस्तभक्तार्ति विनशननानि गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति गोविन्द गोविन्द हरे मुरारी गोविन्द गोविन्द मुकुन्द कृष्ण गोविन्द गोविन्द रथाङ्गपाणे गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति सुखावसाने त्व इदमेव सारं दुःखावसाने त्व इदमेव गेयं देहावसाने त्व इदमेव जपं गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति दुर्वारवाक्यं परिग्रह कृष्ण मृगेव भीतात् कथं कथाञ्चित् सभं परिवेष्ट मनसो जुहावा गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति श्रीकृष्ण राधा वर गोकुलेशा गोपाल गोवर्धननाथ विष्णु जीवेऽपि वस्वं रतैतदेवा गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति श्रीनाथ विश्वेश्वर विश्वमूर्ते श्रीदेवकी नन्दन दैत्यशत्रु जीवेऽपि वस्वम् अमृतम् एतदेव गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति गोपीपते कंसरिपुर्मुकुन्द लक्ष्मीपते केशव वासुदेव जीवेऽपि वस्वं अमृतमेतदेव गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति। हरि बोल। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Amrish Prabhu. Krishna. Anybody would like to read the translations?
I can read.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Shri Mataji.
O my tongue, I ask only this, that upon my meeting the bearer of the scepter of chastisement, Yamraj, you will utter the sweet phrase with great devotion, Govinda Damodar Madhava. O my tongue, O knower of rasa, for release from the hellish bondage of material existence, just worship the charming and easily obtained mantra that is chanted by Vedvyas and other sages, Govinda Damodar Madhava. You should always and everywhere loudly chant, Gopal, Vamsidhar, O ocean of beauty, Lord of the worlds, Narayan, O friend of the poor, Govinda, Damodar and Madhava. O my tongue, always worship these beautiful, enchanting names of Krishna, Govinda, Damodar and Madhava, which destroy all the obstacles of the devotees. O Govinda, Govinda, Hari Murari, O Govinda, Govinda, Mukunda Krishna, O Govinda, Govinda, O holder of the chariot wheel, O Govinda, O Damodar, O Madhava. Indeed, this is the essence found upon ceasing the affairs of mundane happiness, and this too is to be sung after the cessation of all sufferings. This alone is to be chanted at the time of death of one's material body, Govinda, Damodar, Madhava. Somehow or other, accepting the unavoidable command of Dushasan, Draupadi, like a frightened doe, entered the assembly of princes and within her mind cried out to the Lord, Govinda, Damodar, Madhava. O tongue, drink only this nectarian names, Sri Krishna, dearmost of Sri Radha, Lord of Gokul, Gopal, Lord of Govardhan, Vishnu, Govinda, Damodar, and Madhava. Srinath, Lord of the universe, form of the universe, beautiful son of Devki, O enemy of the demons, Govinda, Damodar, Madhava, O my tongue, just drink this nectar. Lord of the gopis, enemy of Kamsa, Mukunda, husband of Lakshmi Devi, Keshav, son of Vasudev, Govinda, Damodar, Madhava, O my tongue, just drink this nectar. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Shri Govinda Damodar Stotram ki jai. Shri Abhijit Mangal Thakur ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Shri Mataji and Amrish Prabhu. Very nice. Always nice to hear your singing, Amrish Prabhu. And thank you for reading the translations, Shri Mataji. So yeah, as we saw yesterday, these holy names are very powerful. In one of the lectures, Hari Parshad Prabhu was talking about developing our attention and affection for chanting the holy names. And one of the things he was saying for affection, attention, of course, is in our control, right? We can, that is something that with the proper attention, proper posture, we can make sure when we sit and we chant in the morning, we have more focused mind, clarity of mind. We can develop that, but affection is very hard to develop. And one thing he was mentioning is we should have one dearest name of the Lord, which is very dear to our heart, which we feel is just for us, like our personal relationship with the Lord. So this prayer reminds us of that. If we have one, maybe like one of these bhajans that we sing, one of these Vaishnava bhajans, there are so many millions of names of the Lord, but we should have one which is very dear to our heart. For example, if this song we sing, Govinda Damodar Madhava, it's very easy to remember always. And we can have that picture of the Lord in our mind when we sing this, and that's how we can develop affection. It's not very easy to develop affection, but yeah, we should have one very, very dearest name of the Lord. So something like this, we can actually this. I remember when we started reciting this prayer. In one of our rooms, we have 3 pictures of Krishna, and somehow or the other, all 3 reminded me of these names, because right in the middle was Govinda along with Radharani. On another picture is of Damodar with Mother Yashoda, and another picture is of the Lord, as Madhav. So, but yeah, we should have because that, like this prayer said, at the time of death, that is what we will remember. Of course, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra should be on our tongue always when we vibrate this transcendental sound vibration. We will be able to remember that. Only if we practice, right? If we practice well during the life, then we'll be able to remember the Lord at the end. But that one picture of the Lord, which is very dear to our heart, will also come in our mind. And maybe that is the darshan, like how Bhishma Dev had the darshan of Lord at the end of his life. All devotees have. So similarly, we should have one which is very dear to our heart. So that is how we can develop affection. And those two are very, very important, developing attention and affection. Okay, so with that, let's continue with the Prabhupada Lilamrit. We are continuing from chapter 24. Yesterday we saw Prabhupada's amidst all the chaos in San Francisco in the hippie hill, just like a lotus is not touched by the dirty things around it, even though the pond is dirty, the lotus is never touched. I know that similarly Prabhupada was looking like that amidst all the chaos that was going on. But he was very, very happy that at least people were taking to the process of chanting, and that is the beginning of all auspiciousness. So he was very, very happy that everybody was chanting and meditating on the holy names. And of course, also we saw another very important principle of humility that a disciple should have, and how he was teaching Leelavati Mataji, who was Linda, and she quickly got initiation, very, very quick from Srila Prabhupada, and he kind of gave her special benediction of special attention and taught her cooking, but eventually we see how that tinge of pride came in her, that she started feeling herself more advanced than other disciples, and also to the point of how that pride is so subtle that it can also get to the point of correcting the guru himself. So when he was cooking on Ekadashi, she was trying to chide Prabhupada, oh, it's Ekadashi, it's fasting day, why are you cooking, right? So we never know how that pride manifests. It's very, very subtle. But yeah, that is a very, very important quality that we should have, of humility. Without humility, we cannot chant the holy names without offenses. So, okay, so let's continue from here. Anybody would like to read today? It was 7 a.m.
I can read, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nandini Mataji, yes.
It was
Yes.
7 a.m. Srila Prabhupada sat on his dais in the temple. Besides him,
Oops, I think you got muted, Mataji.
sorry, Prabhu. I'll start again. It was 7 a.m. Srila Prabhupada sat on his dais in the temple. Besides him on an altar stood the recently acquired statue of Krishna. The child Krishna stood 2 feet high, with his left hand on his hip, his right hand holding a rod. Gurudas had found him at an import store and had begged the manager to sell him, and after several visits, the man had agreed for $35. Prabhupada had given him the name Karta Mahashaya, the boss. This morning, as Prabhupada and Karta Mahashaya looked out at the devotees in the room, only about 6 people were present. The night before, the temple had been crowded. Where are the others? Prabhupada asked. And then he gave the answer himself. They are sleeping. All the sleeping is not good. He took out his kartals and began playing the 1-2-3 rhythm. Mukunda took up a mridanga and played along, trying to execute the rhythms Srila Prabhupada had recently taught him. Srila Prabhupada had not even begun singing when the door opened and half a dozen barefoot hippies wandered in, reeking of marijuana. They glanced around, then sat down on the floor with the devotees as Prabhupada began singing Gurvashtakam, the Vaishnava prayers to the spiritual master. Although none of his disciples knew the words, they loved to listen to Swamiji sing these morning prayers. Unhurriedly, he sang each verse, several times repeating each line, deliberately developing the mood of unadulterated service to the spiritual master. Then one of the hippies, a boy with long, straight blonde hair and a red headband, began mumbling, fidgeting, and moaning. Someone softly asked him to be quiet. The boy paused, but then moaned again. Swamiji and his followers were used to drugged hippies who stayed up all night and came to the morning program, sometimes disrupting things. Usually the visitors remained submissive, and even if they occasionally called out in a strange mood, they usually found peace in chanting Hare Krishna and would try to blend with the energy of the devotees. But today's discordant visitor seemed agitated by chanting, as if it were challenging him. Rather, he sounded like he was challenging it. The devotees began clapping in time with Prabhupada's kartals, and when Prabhupada began singing Hare Krishna, his half dozen followers immediately joined him, chanting both lead and chorus. Prabhupada looked at them gravely, encouraging the bedraggled early morning band of youngsters, and they responded determinedly. The guests sat in a drugged contemplation, although one or two tried singing along, but the blond boy with the red headband remained adamantly disharmonious, moaning defiantly, as if trying to throw off the effects of the chanting. Nonetheless, despite the boy's moaning, which was sometimes loud and savage, Prabhupada kept singing and the devotees kept chanting. Mukunda and Hayagriva exchanged anxious glances, but tolerated the boy, unsure what else to do. Some of the devotees were disturbed and even frightened, but they had also heard Swamiji say in recent lectures that advanced devotees aren't shaken in any circumstances. Swamiji was their leader, not only in devotional prayers, but also in how to respond to this intruder. So they waited and watched him for a sign. Prabhupada remained undisturbed, but although after 20 minutes the kirtan was strong and determined, the blond boy's madness was not going away. As the chanting built up momentum, he became more agitated. He screamed like a lost soul and hollered like a rock singer. He was becoming more and more troubled and angry. When the devotees rose to their feet and began dancing, the boy began dancing too, but in his own way, crying and pounding his chest. Mukunda played louder on the drum. The sound was discordant, a clash of individual madness and group chanting, until Prabhupada finally brought the kirtan to a close. The devotees bowed their heads to the floor, and Srila Prabhupada intoned the Sanskrit prayers honoring the spiritual masters, the Supreme Lord, and the sacred places. All glories to the assembled devotees, he said, and they responded, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhupada said. And then, as was his morning custom, he announced, chant one round. Everyone sat down, including the crazy hippie. The devotees put aside the drums and kartals, reached for their large red beads, and began chanting japa in unison. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Fingering one bead at a time, they uttered the mantra, then proceeded to the next bead. Surprised at this turn of events, the blond boy commented loudly, far out, as rapid chanting filled the room. The boy jumped to his feet and shouted, Come with me. He whirled about, faced Srila Prabhupada and howled, I am God. Then he began screaming loud, long berserk cries. Wahoo, wahoo, ah, ooh. He sobbed, growled, grumbled, stomped his feet. Like a small child, he explored every sound his voice could make. Beating his fists on his chest again and again, he cried, I am God. And one of the boy's friends suddenly played a few notes on a panpipe. But Srila Prabhupada kept chanting japa, and the devotees also tried to continue chanting undaunted, while at the same time keeping an eye on the madman and wondering where it would all end. Then, with a final violent ejaculation, the boy shrieked, I am God, and in anger and disgust strode out of the room, slamming the door behind him, yelling as he ran down the street. The proper japa peacefully engulfed the storefront, and Srila Prabhupada's voice assumed its place more clearly above the voices of all chanting devotees. After about 10 minutes of chanting, Prabhupada recited Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Let there be all glory to the congregational chanting of Hare Krishna, which cleanses the dirt from the mirror of the mind and gives a taste of the nectar of which we are always hankering. Are we continuing?
Yes, Mother, to 626, I continue.
Okay. As Prabhupada put on his spectacles and opened the Bhagavad Gita that he had been speaking each morning on the 6th chapter, the room settled and became silent for hearing his lecture. His students, some of whom had been imbibing his instructions for more than 2 months, listened attentively as he spoke the eternal Parampara message. It was Krishna's timeless message, yet Swamiji was presenting it just for them as they sat on the rug early in the morning in the small storefront 518 Frederick Street in Haight-Ashbury. Prabhupada lectured on the transmigration of the soul. Foolish people, he said, aspire for material acquisitions. They don't know that these things are finished with the death of the body. Spiritual life, however, is of utmost importance because it is never lost. So even if Krishna consciousness becomes inconvenient or uncomfortable, one should never give it up. Srila Prabhupada was again stressing that the devotee is never disturbed, a point that seemed especially relevant in the wake of this morning's interruption. A devotee, Prabhupada explained, is always tolerant. Prabhupada told a story about a great devotee, Haridas Thakur, a contemporary of Lord Chaitanya's, who endured severe beating at the hands of a Muslim magistrate. As Prabhupada told the story, he improvised dialogue. Oh, the magistrate said to Haridas, "You're born in such a nice family and you're chanting Hare Krishna?" And then Prabhupada spoke for Haridas. Sir, many Hindus also have become Mohammedan. So if some Mohammedan becomes Hindu, what is the harm? Prabhupada didn't change the pitch or accent of his voice while taking different parts of the dialogue. But with a subtle storyteller's art, each voice became a distinct person. The magistrate spoke threateningly. Oh, you're arguing? Then Prabhupada became the narrator. So it was decided that Haridas was to be punished. Give the dog a bad name and hang it. Then Prabhupada became Haridas's flogger, who, despite repeatedly beating Haridas, were unable to make him cry out in pain. Finally exhausted, they spoke up. Sir, the idea was that you would die, but now we see that you do not die, so now punishment is awaiting us. Haridas, what do you want? Floggers, we want that you should die. Narrator, then he played himself into samadhi, and the floggers brought him to the magistrate. The magistrate, throw him in the water. Don't put him in the graveyard. He has become a Hindu. Srila Prabhupada concluded his tale. The others were flogging him, and he was chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. He was undisturbed. He was steady. Therefore, Lord Krishna says that a person who is spiritually advanced, for him there is no misery even in this world, and what to speak of the other world. A devotee suffers no loss, Prabhupada explained, even if he doesn't become perfectly Krishna conscious, or even if he falls away. His next birth always will be human. There was a prince. Prabhupada began a story to illustrate his point. His name was Satyavan, but he was to die at a certain age. His horoscope said, but one girl named Savitri, she fell in love with that boy. Now she wanted to marry him. Her father told her, he'll die at certain age. You don't marry. But she was bent. She married. In course of time, the boy died, say after 4 or 5 years, and the girl became widow. But she was so staunch a lover that she won't let the dead body go away. And the Yamraj, what is the English for one who takes away the body or the soul after death? So he came to take the soul away. So this chaste girl would not allow the husband's body to go away. By Prabhupada's voice and widening eyes, he appeared as Yamraj, the Lord of Death, speaking to the widow Savitri. It is my duty that I should take. You give it up, otherwise you'll also be punished. The girl gave up her husband, but followed behind Yamraj. Then Prabhupada's Yamraj, by a slight dropping of his voice, became compassionate. My dear girl, you go home. I give you benediction that you will have a son. Don't cry for your husband. But Savitri continued to follow Yamraj. Yamraj said, why are you following me? Then Prabhupada Savitri spoke, not in a feminine voice, but with the reasoning and heart of Savitri. Now you're taking my husband. How can I have my son? Prabhupada spoke as a narrator. Oh, then he was in dilemma. He returned her husband. So similarly, there is a technique. If you take to Krishna consciousness, then your husband or this human form of life is guaranteed. The devotees understood the gist of the story, but they weren't perfectly clear what their lives had to do with the woman in the story. Some, however, understood if they take to Krishna consciousness, their ill-destined lives could become auspicious. Yes, Srila Prabhupada continued, a spiritual life is the most auspicious life. He looked around emphatically at the devotees seated before him on the floor. Anyone who has done something nice, auspicious thing, oh, it will never be vanquished. He will never be put into difficulty. It is such a nice thing. He ended his lecture and asked for questions. A young woman raised her hand. You say that people foolishly worship the photograph of someone who is already gone. You gave the example of George Washington or Gandhi. But can't the photo of a spiritual teacher be very helpful to teach others to love him?
You can pause here, Mataji.
Yes,
Yeah. Thank you so much for the nice reading. Yes, as always, anything that you would like to share in today's reading?
Prabhupada, I just was thinking, Prabhupada was such a wonderful teacher. He taught by example, he taught by storytelling, he taught by his instructions, by Shastra. So these brand new devotees to the brand new culture were getting the best of the teachings anyone could have got in any part of the world. So that is so amazing. We saw how Prabhupada enacted the tolerance. It is so easy to get disturbed in such situations where you're trying to make sing a nice kirtan or do japa, and someone at that level becomes so annoying, and we know that that person is drugged and unstable. It would have been very easy for Prabhupada to just, with a wink of the eye or something, to tell his disciples to escort that person out. But Prabhupada tolerated, and that is what should be our mood when we see someone at our center who is just disturbed, or who is not acting in our standards, to tolerate that person. So I think that was my learning lesson for today. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, like yesterday, you were saying yesterday's lesson was humility. Today's lesson is tolerance. So, Trinadapi Sunishinata Rapi Saishana. Prabhupada is a living example, like you said, Mataji, he's teaching them by his own demeanor and his own activities. Yeah. Tolerance, of course, we have seen so many times, right? As soon as the time he came to the Bowery, and how he has been tolerating all these, the drunkards and hippies and people who are druggists. So it's amazing how he has just with the power of the holy name. Because like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, when you have those two qualities and you don't have pride, you're willing to give all respect to others, then you're able to chant the pure holy names. And just with that power, it's been possible. And humility, of course, he's like, even though he is an acharya, but he doesn't. It's he feels like it's not like like he knows everything in the world, right? He is also willing to learn from even his early disciples in terms of the ways of life of America, how they shop, what they do, So yeah, it's a good learning, like you said, good life lesson to see how he led his life in those early days. And same thing, we can imbibe that mood and develop those very, very important virtues of humility and tolerance and giving respect to others from whoever we learn. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, anybody else would like to share anything? Anything that touched your heart?
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. So sometimes, what he said, like in no circumstances, you should give up Krishna consciousness. So sometimes, I just feel like as a beginner, I'm like, sometimes things are not working and you are like, okay, let's just, give up. And you have those times, right, that you don't want to chant or sometimes, but then the the next thought would be like, um, it's better to fail and retry than to, give it up. So, yeah, I think that feeling of just trying and failing is better than just not doing at all.
Yeah, even in material life, for success, it's not like we just give it up, right? And of course, nothing comes easy, right? From the very first letter that we start learning in our childhood, right? How we have to repeat, right? We may fail, just like we have to if you have to write. I see these Sanskrit, I know Vishwanath Prabhu takes Sanskrit classes, and when I see Harshika and they're learning Sanskrit, i.e. starting from i.e. Kakagada, right? It is not easy. You have to keep practicing and practicing. You have to know where to start, and we keep like we have those patterns. First, you draw the horizontal line, then you draw the vertical line, then you draw, you write the curve. So with practice comes perfection. And if we say, "Oh, it is too hard," and just give it up, then it's not going to work. So, and even in our professional careers, yeah, we have to. It's not everything happens in one go, right? We have to at least try 3, 4 times before we can say, "Oh, now I got it." So, yeah, same thing with spiritual life. And actually, in spiritual life, it is very, very easy. Like at least in material life, we have to endeavor so much. Like we have to learn so many different things, right? So many different subjects, so many books to read, etc. At work, you have so many different projects, so many different assignments that you have to work, multitasking sometimes, and you have to be in this meeting, that thing. But spiritual life is made so simple and sublime by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just take up your bead and chant, that's it. And everything else will come, like Prabhupada is teaching them here. Just chant the holy names in Sankirtan. He's teaching them how to chant one round in the morning. He's teaching them Kirtan. It's just chanting. And then you see, like, yeah, like just the drums are coming, kartals are coming, music is coming. Everything starts happening automatically. But yeah, he says this theme again and again and again, many times in lectures and multiple talks. Prabhupada has mentioned that. And even our other Guru Parampara have mentioned just by chanting sincerely, we just have to take up and chant and try to become sincere. Like I said, those two things, attention, try to have quality attention, and that comes when our minds are undisturbed, there's clarity. So the best time is chant in the morning. And when we chant in the morning, and if we chant in one sitting, all 16 rounds, that is the best, right? So, and of course, good is like you chant through the day. I mean, I used to do that. Many of the devotees who come initially, yeah, it's not like we're able to just from day one, we're able to chant 16 rounds and in one go. It took many, many years of practice. But that is good state. And better is when you're able to chant maybe during the day, because the day is also Prabhupada has classified, right? There's mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. Morning is the mode of Shuddha Sattva and Brahma Muhurta. Then during the mode of passion also you can chant if you are able to sit in one state and chant for 16 hours. That's okay. But that is good. But that is better. But the best is when you chant in the morning. I think we are able to make give our full attention to the holy names. That is what is desired. That is the time when we can chant in sattva and actually Shuddha Sattva, pure names, and that is the best. So yeah, it is. So like I said, I was just comparing material life and spiritual. Spiritual life has been made so simple by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is just a matter of following the instructions and doing it, like you said. Yes. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Anything else before we wrap up? All right. Thank you so much for your kind attention, association, and reflections. We end with Vaishnav Pranam prayers. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। शिला प्रभुपाद लीलामृत की जय। निताई गौर हरि हरि बोल। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna.